upon Mr. Lovel, who, after about 10 minutes' deliberation, proposed with a most important face to determine the wager by who should draw the longest straw. I had much difficulty to forbear laughing at this unmeaning scheme, but saw to my great surprise not the least change of countenance in any other person. Since we came home, Mrs. Selwyn has informed me that to draw straws is a fashion of betting by no means uncommon. Good God! My dear Sir, does it not seem as if money were of no value or service, since those who possess squander it away in a manner so infinitely absurd? It now only remained for Lord Orville to speak, and the attention of the company showed the expectations he had raised; yet I believe they by no means prevented his proposal from being heard with amazement, for it was no other than that the money should be his due, who, according to the opinion of the judges, should bring the worthiest object with whom to share it. They all stared without speaking. Indeed, I believe every one, for a moment at least, experienced something like shame, from having either proposed or countenanced an extravagance so useless and frivolous. For my part, I was so much struck and affected by a rebuke so noble to these spendthrifts, that I felt my eyes filled with tears. The short silence and momentary reflection into which the company was surprised, Mr. Coverley was the first to dispel, by saying, "Egad, my Lord, your Lordship has a most remarkable odd way of taking things." "Faith," said the incorrigible Lord Merton, "if this scheme takes, I shall fix upon my Swiss to share with me, for I don't know a worthier fellow breathing." After a few more of these attempts at wit, the two gentlemen agreed that they would settle the affair the next morning. The conversation then took a different turn, but I did not give it sufficient attention to write any account of it. Not long after, Lord Orville, resuming his seat near mine, said, "Why is Miss Anville so thoughtful?" "I am sorry, my Lord," said I, "to consider myself amongst those who have so justly incurred your censure." "My censure? You amaze me." "Indeed, my Lord, you have made me quite ashamed of myself for having given my vote so foolishly, when an opportunity offered, if, like your Lordship, I had had the sense to use it, of showing some humanity." "You treat this too seriously," said he, smiling, "and I hardly know if you do not now mean a rebuke to me." "To you, my Lord?" "Nay, who are most deserving of it? Those who adapt their conversation to the company, or those who affect to be superior to it?" "Oh, my Lord, who else would do you so little justice?" "I flatter myself," answered he, "that in fact your opinion and mine in this point are the same, though you condescend to comply with the humour of the company. It is for me, therefore, to apologize for so unseasonable a gravity, which, but for the particular interest that I now take in the affairs of Lord Merton, I should not have been so officious to display." Such a compliment as this could not fail to reconcile me to myself, and with revived spirits I entered into a conversation, which he supported with me till Mrs. Selwyn's carriage was announced, and we returned home. During our ride, Mrs. Selwyn very much surprised me by asking, if I thought my health would now permit me to give up my morning walks to the pump room, for the purpose of spending a week at Clifton. "For this poor Mrs. Beaumont," added she, "is so eager to have a discharge in full of her debt to me, that out of a mere compassion I am induced to listen to her. Besides, she always has a house full of people, and though they are chiefly fools and coxcombs, yet there is some pleasure in cutting them up." I begged I might not by any means prevent her following her inclination, as my health was now very well established. And so, my dear Sir, to-morrow we are actually to be the guests of Mrs. Beaumont. I am not much delighted at this scheme, for, greatly as I am flattered by the attention of Lord Orville, it is not very comfortable to be neglected by every body else. Besides, as I am sure I owe the particularity of his civility to a generous feeling for my situation, I cannot expect him to support it so long as a week. How often do I wish, since I am absent from you, that I was under the protection of Mrs. Mirvan! It is true, Mrs. Selwyn is very obliging, and in every respect treats me as an equal; but she is contented with behaving well herself, and does not, with a distinguishing politeness, raise and support me with others. Yet I mean not to blame her, for I know she is sincerely my friend; but the fact is, she is herself so much occupied in conversation when in company, that she has neither leisure nor thought to attend to the silent. Well, I must take my chance. but I knew not till now how requisite are birth and fortune to the attainment of respect and civility. LETTER LXIV.